Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman, your host, and we've got a great show of betting information coming your way. Andy Lang will be our first guest. He's got two prop bets for us, both in the NFL and both on quarterbacks. After him, we got Gianni, the Greek. He's got a bet for us on the Clemson game in college football. And we're going to dig deep into the Philadelphia-Baltimore Ravens game, a game that surely should be awesome to watch. After that, we will have Dave Mason from Bet Online joining us. Before we get into any of that, I hope all of you guys had a wonderful, laugh-filled Thursday, a beautiful Thanksgiving. I did not. It happens. I was on the over in the Detroit Lions game. That was a doozy. And then I ended up having a horrible day of sports betting, only to have an even worse night of poker. I lost with a nut flush. I lost with a ace high straight. I lost with jacks over threes. It was one of those days, but it's behind us. And I am going on a run. Are you, Andy Lang?
Yeah, should be 3-0 this week on plays. Had a nice cash in the NFL yesterday, so it's madness here. We have Formula One qualifying in a half hour. My college football is right now. The PFL championships are right now. I've never had more bets and activity at noon on a weekday.
Yeah,
it's an odd day for sure.
Yeah, that is well, I got a bet starting right this second in college football, so I'm with you. I also have a 5% going in college football tonight. We last left on Wednesday, although my yesterday was horrific. Wednesday was really good, and I cashed my 5% play. So yeah, I'm feeling groovy. Andy Lang, let's get into this first prop bet for us. And it's on Justin, as I say, Herbert. And he plays for the Bolts. And you like him to not throw an interception. I think if he does, it might bounce off one of his receivers' hands. You know, the one who couldn't catch a ball last week. Why do you like this bet?
Do you know he has one interception this year? Just one.
Wow.
It was in week 2.
Well, let's start there. Let me ask you quickly. I know you got written down, but isn't he due for some interceptions?
Yeah, but the point of this play is I think you play it every week for the rest of the season. And you're probably going to, have a winning record. So, yeah, I'll play it this week because I love the matchup here. Yeah, he might be due for one, but if he does throw one, just come back and play it next week. This is one of those where hopefully we go like 4-1 or 3-1, run here. Atlanta has an awful pass rush. They cannot put pressure on the quarterback. PFF ranks them as the second worst pass rush in the league. Falcons have no interceptions in the last 3 weeks. Justin Herbert has gone 260 pass attempts with no interceptions. And you're looking at some of the things that he does, Prez. He's not forced the ball in there, and he's running. He's using his legs. 4 rushes, 5 rushes, 9 rushes, 3 rushes, 4 rushes. So if there's something that's not there, instead of throwing it into a tight window, he's taking off and running, or he's throwing it away. He'll go some of these games without a lot of attempts. Like in a game they won against Tennessee, they won by 10. He only had 18 pass attempts. So I know J.K. Dobbins is banged up, but this team likes to run the ball. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Herbert is not making any mistakes, and I just don't think Atlanta is going to be able to put him in a bad situation with their pass rush. So I'll take him not to have an interception.
Yeah, listen, and that makes sense. So basically the strategy here is if he does have an interception, we'll bet this again the following week. Are you going to Nightingale it? It's Martingale,
no.
But you know me, I changed. I know it's Martingale, bro, but I change all words.
Are you going to Nightingale it? No, I'm not going to Nightingale it. That's up to personal preference. Me, no, I'll just hope to have a winning record after 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, I suggest to everybody out there, never, ever use the Martingale.
Never Nightingale.
Teddy went to Vegas when he moved to Vegas. He literally in his first week there, first time in a casino now that he was a resident of Vegas, he tried the martingale and lost it all, everything. I think he went like,
oh my gosh,
7 or 8 deep on the roulette wheel, hitting like black or red or whatever it was, and yeah, that didn't work out for him. Then he became a gigolo. Okay. Yeah, listen, there are women out there that like really hairy men. Okay, why am I saying this? I'm not saying this stuff anymore. Okay, Andy, I'm sorry I had a moment. It was in the past. We will move forward. Baker Mayfield.
yeah, this
Tampa
is
Bay.
another play. Yeah, this is another play. If you've been playing it all season long, you're up. It's 7-4 to have over 1.5 touchdown passes. He's gone 2 weeks in a row without having 2 touchdown passes. One was against San Francisco. Their wide receivers were completely banged up. Now they finally have Mike Evans back. That's going to help a lot. So I played this against the Giants last week. Somehow Prez, he threw no touchdown passes in a game where they scored 30 points. And I watched this game 3 times. Somebody got tackled at the 1-yard line and they ran it in. 2 of those times was a pass that Baker got the guy and he just like fell a little bit short. So they like to throw the ball when they get inside the 10-yard line. Again, getting Mike Evans back. K. Dotton has really fit in well. And those running backs can catch passes as well. This is another play. I think you just play it every week. But against Carolina, they're awful against the pass. They give up 2 touchdown passes per game. Mahomes just had 3 touchdowns. That was his best game of the season. So it's a Carolina team I want to fade with Baker this week.
Yeah, and this play makes a lot of sense to me, Andy. I mean, firstly, he's a gunslinger, so we're going to see him throw the ball. He throws it in the red zone, and he throws long bombs, too, which could get us there. And the other reason is, as you said, they're playing Carolina, just a horrible, horrible pass defense, and a team that, again, like you were talking about with the Chargers, really don't have any type of pass rush whatsoever. This bet makes a lot of sense to me. Justin Herbert, no interceptions, minus 110. Baker Mayfield, over 1.5 touchdown passes, minus 125. I love it, Andy, and congratulations on your 3-0 yesterday. What else do you have going for the clients this weekend?
Take advantage of the 7-day pass for $69. It's our annual Thanksgiving pass. It's a smoking deal. We don't run it very often. Since January 1st, 2023, we're up 187 units. That's number 1 at WagerTalk. We've got a Formula One race this weekend. We're 10-2 in NBA plays this year. We've got tons of NHL games. We got tons of NFL action off of our 1-0 day yesterday in NFL. So just take advantage of the 7-day pass. There's no better time. This price doesn't come up very often. And if you're going to use it, might as well use it on the guy that has brought in more units than anyone the last couple of years. So I hope everyone had a good holiday, and let's cash together this weekend.
Andy Lang, everybody, as good as it gets. Honest to God, one of the single best bettors I know, and very creative in his betting style. If you guys like prop bets, ancillary sports, Andy is your man, and every year he has been up profit since he joined WagerTalk Today. We're lucky to have him. Andy Lang, everyone. Andy, have a wonderful weekend, my friend. Okay, guys, we've still got a long show ahead of us. Gianni the Greek's coming on. He's going to talk NFL and college football. We're going to get a ton of actionable betting information out of him as well. We got Dave Mason at the end of the show. But before we get into any of that, we're going to go straight into the presidential address. I want to talk about the Vegas-Kansas City game, and I want to talk about it now. So welcome to your daily presidential address. Las Vegas Raiders plus 13. They're going into Kansas City. The total here is 42.5, and I'm going to take this game apart. Before I do that, I just want to remind everybody that we have our most popular promo going. It goes until December 3rd. It's the best promo we have at the website, and we've had so many of you guys purchase it. So shout out to all of you guys. Thank you so freaking much for showing trust and loyalty in us. Basically, it's 7 days, all access for $69. I have a huge weekend prepared. I got a 5% play in college football up today. I'm on a 5-1 run in my big college football bets. I'm also on a 14-6 college football run, and I absolutely love this play. I won my last two 5% plays. This play goes in the afternoon. Make sure to get it. And on Sunday, I will have at least 5 NFL plays up. Saturday will be 3 college football, and of course, I'll have NHL, college basketball, and NBA along the way. Okay, shut up, Prez. They want to know how to bet this game. So here's the bottom line for me. Now, I know Kansas City is going to win this game. I'm pretty confident they're going to win this game. The only question is, are they going to cover 13? Well, let me tell you this. They have not covered 13 the entire season. They did push on 13 against the New Orleans Saints. But man, how can you take a team minus 13 points if they've never covered minus 13 points the whole season? Not only that, they haven't covered any amount of points that has been against them in 5 straight games. This Kansas City team does not seem to be covering spreads right now. And at minus 13 in a division game, standalone, national TV audience, makes no sense to just automatically think today is the day. I know. I get it. Las Vegas stinks. I'm with you. They don't have a quarterback. There's clearly a lot of mess going on in the dressing room. They're likely going to have a new coach next year. This team is on a free fall. Tampa Bay, without their wide receivers, stunk. They stayed within 13. Hey, this very Vegas team, who stunk as much as they do now on October 27th, they stayed within 13. Frankly, this Kansas City team is ripe for a beatdown. They are ripe for a huge upset. And although I don't think the huge upset is going to happen today, this is not a covering machine. Take the Las Vegas Raiders plus the 13 points and maybe just a teeny little sprinkle on the money line as it pays so beautifully. And Kansas City has already shown this is not some offensive juggernaut. And defensively, they've clearly taken a step back. That's it for the daily presidential address. Let's bring Gianni the Greek in. Gianni, what do you think?
All right. Happy
What do you think?
Thanksgiving. Kansas City hasn't been winning with margin all season.
Right.
But the thing is, have the Raiders just given up on the year? The last 2 road games, they lost by a combined 32, 34 points. Yeah. And that's the question I have. Like, if they're down at halftime, how do you come out in the second half? Like, what do you care about? You're not going to the playoffs. The season's just about over. That's the worry I have. Cold weather in Kansas City. Like, I think these guys just want to get home if they're losing at halftime. That's the problem. What kind of effort do you get out of the Raiders? That's the issue. Again, you're right. Kansas City has not been winning by margin all season. They just haven't.
No, and you know what? Listen, there's a reason from my perspective that the Raiders are not a client play, and instead I like them enough to give them out on the show, but to not release them to my clients. And that, Gianni, is the reason. However bad Kansas City is against the spread, the Las Vegas Raiders might be worse in the other direction. And I love what you're saying about the second half, because I'll tell you guys, if you have been watching Kansas City, this is a team that went ahead in the second half is going to play ball possession. They are going to run, and run. If they are ahead in the second half, I would look to take the under. If they're ahead in the second half, I would look to continue to bet on Kansas City in the second half. And we've already seen how great they are, Andy Reid, in those second half adjustments. So I am with you, dude. Great point. I like the Raiders, but I don't like them enough to bet my hard-earned money on them. But I want to keep people off of Kansas City. You know, that kind of daily presidential address there was, don't bet Kansas City here, guys. They haven't covered 13 all season. Why should we just assume they're going to cover 13 today? How did you do yesterday, brother?
I hit my 5%. I hit my biggest bet. I lost in college. Shouldn't have even really gotten involved in the college game, but some info came in on that under strong late, but that didn't get there. Overall, in the NFL, I think I got a split. But again, the big bet is what I was really banking in on it. And thank God.
What was it?
Got lucky. The under in that final game, in that Green Bay game. Under
Wow.
47.5. Yeah.
Wow.
The gambling gods have owed me, Prez. I've had some, again, I don't complain because long-term bad beats and lucky wins, they're going to balance out. But I've had my fair share of bad beats over the last 6 months that I think the gambling gods are starting to turn and favor me a little bit of late. I've been seeing winning those not coin flips. The probability of me losing has been winning on some of those games. So I see it's turning.
Dude, I'm a sick man. I keep track of shit like bad beats and whatnot. I am 1-11 in the last 5 weeks on missed kicks. 1-11 in the last 5 weeks on missed kicks. I write this shit down just to torture myself further. I mean, I took an under into overtime on Tuesday and lost in NBA. I took a dog into overtime on Wednesday and lost in NBA. And I had the over in the Detroit Lions game yesterday and lost. So if the gambling gods owe anybody anything, this is the man right here. And you know what? They ain't going to give it back to us. And I'll tell you why, Gianni. I'll tell you why they're not going to give it back to us. Because we're constantly on the right side. And in order for the gambling gods to give us a gift, we have to be on the wrong side.
And get lucky. Yep. Be the product of good luck. And it doesn't happen too often. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Great bettors have bad beats. Shitty bettors don't.
It's funny. Real quickly, I do a podcast for the UFC every week, and I invite different guests, some media, some odds makers, some wise guys. And whenever I bring a wise guy, like a real sharp that people don't even know who they are, but they're actually winning bettors, and we ask them this one question: what's your most memorable bet? I swear to you, every single one, it's like 100% of the wise guys, they all talk about a bad beat. The losing bettors, like the media guys, the writers, they always talk about their big score, the parlay they hit or the big long shot they hit. But the winning bettors are always complaining about that bad beat, that stung, that they had the best of it and they still lost. That's what they focus on, and that's the difference.
Well, for me, I have to then sound like I'm a square because many years ago, and I'm talking about 15 years ago, I had like a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. It was raining on Kentucky Derby Day. I needed to give the kids something to do. So each of us took a horse and I went on. I've never made a horse bet in my life. I'm like, Ty, what do you like? She's like, I like that one. Maddie, what do you like? I like that one. And I put them 1, 2. I didn't know. I thought I took where it was all. Instead, I put a $60 bet on 1, 2, 3 in order.
Not boxed. Right.
$12,000. I will never forget that bet, Gianni. And it's a winning bet. So it was with my kids and we were screaming and yelling. It was a great dad moment. Okay, let's get into some college football for tomorrow. You like Clemson -3. Tell us why.
Love Clemson. Clemson should be close to a touchdown field favorite at home. They're just not getting any respect, especially for that home field advantage here against South Carolina. Listen, South Carolina's been getting some wins, but a lot of them have been lucky, meaning the other team has been turning the ball over. Just look at their last couple of big wins and look at the turnover ratio of the other team. And again, that tends to balance out. When you get lucky with turnovers, that tends to regress and progress towards the mean. I look at the Clemson side. Look at their last loss against Louisville. They absolutely dominated that team. They almost doubled up on time of possession, doubled them up on first downs, doubled them up on pretty much every stat that matters except the scoreboard, which comes down to a lot of randomness involved. I think they went 0-4 in field goals, so they didn't get lucky in the red zone. It's just one of those bad games. But because of that, we get some extra value here with a very good Clemson team at home. Clemson's a little undervalued when you look at their rankings where they sit 12th. They are definitely a top 10 team power rating wise. And I think South Carolina is a little bit higher than they should be. And it's just based on a tough schedule and a decent record. But again, I do think a couple of those wins are the product of good luck, and the cream will rise to the top. Clemson at home gets the W. They pull away from South Carolina, and they win this game by double digits. They're the proven team. They have the history. They've won the games that mattered, and this is a big game for Clemson. They need this win, and I think they show up and they crush this South Carolina team that they've had no problems with in the past.
Yeah, any thoughts on the over here, Gianni? And the only reason I ask is we got some massive scoring from both of these teams, 51 points in the last game by Clemson. Now, I understand it was against nobody. But, I mean, this is a team that's put up 49, 48, 51, 40, 59, 66. South Carolina, 56, 34, 44. I mean, 50. This line is 49.5. And I know both teams have good defenses, but not lights out defenses. I like the over in this game right off the bat.
You got to lean that way. You do.
Yeah.
But the low total is what honestly pushed me even more towards Clemson covering this game, because it tells me they don't expect all that many points from the South Carolina team. If you remember, they played Mississippi and had a lot of trouble, barely put up a field goal, couldn't even score a touchdown against Mississippi. So the low total is what stuck out to me. I think you're right, because I do think Clemson puts up enough points, and South Carolina is going to score, obviously, to get this over that 49. I think it's a little bit too low, but that low total is a telling sign with a South Carolina team, like you said, coming off a 50-point game, and they've scored plenty over the last couple, but I do think it's a sign of just how good this Clemson defense is, and South Carolina is going to have trouble putting up points against them on Saturday.
Gianni the Greek joining us, everyone. Guys, if you like the show, please, if you don't mind, take a second out of your day and hit that like button. Be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to our channel as well. 187,000 subscribers. Oh, much love to you guys. Thank you for that. Gianni, before we get into the Philadelphia-Baltimore game, I want to talk to you about this correlated situation you're discussing. And you've mentioned it in the past, and we've alluded to it a couple of times. How are you taking the total and the side? How are you using one to help you with the other, etc.? Because you mentioned that total helped push you onto Clemson. Help the viewing audience understand how to read that and use that on a daily basis. And I'm guessing from your perspective, it works on every sport.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the one thing you got to remember is bookmakers will not allow correlated parlay for a reason. They believe that the bettor is getting the best of it. And a perfect example of a correlation would be a team like Georgia playing Citadel, and they're minus 40 points, but the total's only 44.5, 46.5, 48.5, 51. So what they're saying is, will this other team even score? Because if you bet Georgia, then you got to bet them with the over, right? If Georgia's going to cover 40, then they should be able to go over 44, 46, 48. When that's the case, 9 times out of 10, the sportsbook will not allow you to place that parlay. They will say it's a correlated parlay, and we will not allow it. And that's, to you, as a telling sign why parlays are negative EV, because they don't allow them when they believe they're positive EV. That's why you should stay away from them. But there's still always situations that you want to look at that are correlated, and even that a book will let you. The reason I look at the total is because I respect this market so much. It's so efficient that it's very telling. When you see 2 high-scoring teams and get the total as low, you have to pay attention. You can't just all of a sudden assume they made a mistake, they're way off, Or the opposite, you'd see two great defenses, low-scoring games the last couple, and all of a sudden you have a 50-plus point total. There's got to be a reason for that. To me, that's what I really pay attention to, not just the side, but also the total. Correlate the spread to the total. Doesn't make sense. Today, perfect example, Kansas City. They're a 13-point favorite. And the total's what, 41, 42? If they cover 13, they probably got to go over 42, right? Because they got to put up, what, 20 plus points to cover that 13? So you get even 2 touchdowns, 10 points out of the opponent, you're probably going over. That to me is always why I pay attention to both the side and the total and try to conclude, is it correlated? Like if I take this this dog and the under, is it a correlation? Because today it does. If you're expecting a low-scoring game, you got to go with the dog. You have to go with the dog. You're getting 13 points in a game. You're not expecting more than 40 to be scored. If you like the under, it's hard to lay points with Kansas City because you're betting that the opponent doesn't even score. Just bet the team total under in the opponent. Why even care about having to hit the side and the total of Kansas City?
Right.
If you think they're capable of covering the spread and keeping the game under, then the team total for the opponent has to stay under. That's a lock. If Kansas City can't win the game, cover the game, and have them stay under the total and that other team's total not stay under. That's where, that next step of reasoning, that next step of handicapping, where you look at things like that, sides total, teams total. How is it correlated? What's the odds makers think compared to what the market thinks? Because again, I respect the overall consensus than I do in the short term, those individual bets, because most are popularity contests, like they say. Short term, stock market popularity contest. Long term, it's a weighing station. Like you're going to weigh that if it's really worth anything. That's the difference.
Dave Mason still to come from Bet Online. Stay with us, everybody. And breaking news, Matt Eberflus will have a lot of time on his hands moving forward. I'm sure his wife and children are very excited about that. I hope his time management with them is a little better than it was as a head coach. And I'm guessing we will never see that man again. Gianni, talking about correlated, the Ravens -3, and I say correlated because we've got a very high total and a low spread. They're telling us the Ravens are going to put up 27-31. Is that what you're seeing? And which way should we bet this game?
Yeah, it's almost like they're saying who's going to have the ball last is going to win. They're going to put up a ton of points. It's a coin flip. Who's going to make the mistake or who's going to have the last possession? I don't think that's the case. Here's the bottom line. Baltimore is the best team in the NFL. On a neutral field, they will be favored over everybody and anybody, even the Detroit Lions. Yes, I said it. They would be favored on a neutral field over the Detroit Lions. Maybe that's not what the odds makers would bring out because their job is to balance risk. It's not to predict outcomes. So they would probably bring Detroit out as the favorite, and the sharp bettors would line up on Baltimore and take the points, and that would balance out the risk because the regular betting public would be all over that sexy Detroit team. That's how that would play out. So it wouldn't be a problem for the sports books. In this case, Baltimore's getting no respect at all for home field advantage. This is one of the strongest home field advantages of all the NFL. Long term, forget this year's sample size. Forget this year's sample size where they've only lost one game. And what I always talk about, forget when you compare home field advantage, you have to compare it to their road games. How are they compared to the road games? Because if I'm 5-0 at home, Prez, and I'm 5-0 on the road, my home field advantage is pretty much nothing. I'm doing just as good on the road as I am at home. It doesn't matter. But when I'm only have one loss at home and yet I'm a 500 team on the road, playing at home tends to matter. And that's exactly what we see with Baltimore this year, where they've won 4 or 5 of their home games, but they're only 4-3 on the road. 0.4 home field advantage. Philly, 5-1 on the road. I think they've gotten a little bit lucky. Few NFL teams are going to win 6-7 games on the road. We expected Philadelphia to have a much better season the way they tanked down the stretch last year, but I do think they're gotten out ahead of their skis a little bit. And the market reflects that. They've outperformed it. A 9-2 team that's 7-4 against the spread is not good for the sports books. That is not a good outcome for them because they're getting bet and they're covering spreads. Instead, they like a team like Baltimore, who may be sitting at, 67% straight up, but they're barely 500 ATS. With the VIG, you're not even at break even. That means they've done a good job of pricing Baltimore, not so much of the Eagles. That will always regress and progress towards the mean because the NFL market's one of the most efficient. That's what we're looking at now. Because again, Baltimore should be above that key number of 3, about a 4.5 point favorite. That's not happening now. You got pretty much the number one offense in all of the NFL against arguably the best defense. I don't think that's the case. I think this Philly defense isn't phony as a $3 bill, but they're not as good as they're being made to seem. And I think Baltimore shows up on Sunday, shows why they're the best team in the NFL, and does some damage and crushes this Philadelphia team who is coming off, that road game in LA on Sunday Night Football. I think that was. Give me the Baltimore Ravens finally returning home off, a meaningless game against the Chargers. They show up, they crush Philadelphia, lay the points with Baltimore. They win by double digits.
Gianni, we only have a few more minutes with you. Let's race through the college football card and the NFL card. I'll just sit back and listen to the hurricane that is about to happen.
All right, couple college football plays today. Later, Sam Houston State plus the 3. They were looking to get 3 even lane juice to get that 3 on Sam Houston throughout the entire week. Under also in the Stanford San Jose State. That one's opposite the public who is betting that game over. I like Clemson and also Louisville. Louisville first half against Kentucky tomorrow. Real quick, Sunday in the NFL. Go over Titans Commanders 43-44. Chargers Falcons over 47.5, 48. I like the Ravens. Also Buccaneers minus the 5.5. Bengals minus the 3. And college basketball today, Ohio State minus 2.5 and 3. Rice plus 3. Belmont minus 6.5 and 7. And over 142 in Navy. Hope you do some damage today. Thank you, Prez, for sharing your time with me. And enjoy those leftovers. Cash some tickets this weekend and head on over to the Steam Room. We're having it on Saturday, tomorrow. So if you jump on board, you will be able to enter that. And I'll answer any NFL questions as well. With no UFC tomorrow, we will be doing it because there's so many live bets that come in, second halves and all that. So I'm having it while college football and college basketball is being played so they could get all that live information. So join me tomorrow, Steam Room, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And again, God bless, Prez. I hope you had a good time on your vacation. Living the dream, brother. Living the dream. God bless you and yours, my man.
You too, my brother. Thank you, Gianni. Everybody, if you've never played Gianni before, if you're a new customer to the website, perfect week to join us. You get a 7-day all-access pass for only $69. You get every play the handicapper puts out. If you've never played Gianni, you're looking at a very high volume, efficient, and effective sports bettor. So check him out over at WagerTalk.com. Dave Mason joining us from Bet Online, and what a pleasure it is to have you on the phone, my brother. How are you?
Yo, Prez, thanks for having me, man.
So yesterday, your son or your nephew asked you if sports betting was fixed.
It was neither. Just a youngin' that was these youngsters these days, man. They just think everything is rigged, and they asked me if the NFL was scripted. So I told him yes, of course, just to bust his chops. And then he showed me a video of some guy he follows on Instagram or one of these other social medias. Dude had a system how to beat roulette. So, and then the roulette wheel had doubles. Yeah, the roulette wheel had doubles. The roulette wheel had double zeros on it too, which is even more impressive to how you get a system on a double zero roulette wheel. So yeah, man, I just sat there, rolled my eyes, and ate my turkey and all that good stuff. But yeah, everything's rigged these days, I guess.
Yeah, and guys, real quick on that roulette discussion, the single worst bet you can make, maybe in the world, is playing roulette. Now, Now, obviously, if you play red or black, it's a hell of a lot better, but it's still horrible. Stay away from the roulette wheel. I think the hold is, I think it's 90, somewhere around 95, 94, 95%. I don't know if you know, Dave, but yeah, it's somewhere around there. For every hundred all.
It's
Yeah,
definitely one of the higher holds, especially when they keep on adding green zeros to it. And I think there's and then just thinking of my friends who play roulette when we were going to see casino, they're the guys who usually really don't get the math. They just like the spinny wheel, and so I think there's a direct correlation between the higher hold and people that just like the spinny wheel and just throwing chips on the damn table, really no thought or strategy, or you know what I mean? So I think the casinos know, but yeah, man, the 00 roulette system this guy has on Instagram or something. Yeah, I'll study it. I'll get back to you next week.
I went to Vegas a few years ago with a buddy who has a roulette system.
There you go.
I ended up paying his mortgage for 2 months. That true story. Legitimately true story, bro. Swear to God. Okay, so let's start with yesterday. How did the books make out on Thanksgiving Thursday?
Yeah, we always get. It seems like we always get beat on Thanksgiving. And yesterday, it wasn't. It could have been great if Eberflus and Williams knew how to manage a clock at the end of the game, and then got that. We won that game, but it could have been, if they upset Detroit, it would have been a colossal haul with the money line parlays and teasers and spread parlays. But we still won because they covered, and then the regular teasers got busted up. But man, it would have been great if they won that outright. And then the other two games we lost, Dallas game lost. So it's a little bit of fool's gold too. I looked at the numbers and we lost a little, but that being said, those like Thursday games, it's hard to determine the exact numbers because we're grading losing teaser money line bets that lost yesterday. So that adds on to our win. However, the legs that are still live, keyed on today's games, tomorrow's games, Sunday's games, whatever, they're still live. So it's kind of fool's gold, looking at the numbers, we were down a little, but that, there's so many open tickets for parlays and teasers that in reality, it was a lot worse than that. So.
Well, we got rivalry week in the middle of action right now. A lot of college football games already underway. Colorado up 14-0, Ohio up 14-0. I'm currently on East Carolina. If you guys want to join me there, you can still make an in-game bet. They marched the ball all the way down to the 7, and Matt Eberflus themselves into 0 points. What are you seeing for later today and tomorrow in college football?
Yeah, I'll go over some sharp stuff first, including the games that started. Ohio minus 15, Minnesota getting points, Mississippi State plus 26.5, Nebraska plus 3.5 or more, Georgia Tech plus 19, UCF minus 9, Utah State plus 6, Clemson minus 2.5, Michigan plus 21, Air Force minus 3.5, West Virginia plus 3.5, Jacksonville State plus 1.5 or more, Kansas State plus 3. As far as lopsided bet counts, Mississippi State getting all those points, 76% on Mississippi State. Georgia Tech, 72% of the bettors on Georgia Tech. UTSA, 63% on UTSA, 78% on South Carolina. ECU, you're on them, so is everybody else. 71% on ECU, 75% on Vandy, and Ohio State's getting 62% of the early bettors. So, action's great, man. Can't believe college football is winding down already, but we're really looking forward to this new playoff system. Can't wait to see that.
Got to get a lot of action there. Before we turn our attention to NFL, I have a question for you, Dave. One that I've always tried to figure out an answer for. Why is it that money lines in football, there's very little consistency in the sense that last week we had Buffalo Bills -3 at some parts against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think it was, or the week before, whatever it was, the money line was minus 135. Now we have Baltimore -3 against Philly, and the money line is minus 160.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me how the money line is developed and why it is always different? I'm a little baffled about that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of scratched my head on that over the years too. I mean, you see it off by 20, even 30 cents sometimes, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of it's just on action, sharp action. Sharps might be on the spread, but not the money line, or vice versa. So they're moving that number. And I kind of touched on it earlier. There's just so much money on these teasers and parlays, money line parlays now. I mean, we're taking more action on those than straight wagers by a lot. I mean, especially with teams like road chalk of -3 points. There's just so much money on that money line parlay on the favorite that knocks it up a little bit. That'll definitely knock it up, and the straight wagers on that money line too. Whereas the liability might not be that much on the spread, but there's more liability on the money line straights and money line parlays. So yeah, you would think that it would just stay in line with everything, maybe 5 or 10 cents, but yeah, just because of that. Those money line parlays and parlays and teasers and all that stuff that definitely
makes sense.
Impacts it.
That makes sense. Another thing that is always I could never get my head around in football, kind of off topic, just as we're discussing weird things. Why is it that on a kickoff, if you kick it 10 yards and you're the kicking team and you get the ball, you get the ball. If you kick it 15 yards and you pick up the ball, it's yours. But if you kick it 50 yards and you pick up the ball, it's the other team's. Why? I don't understand.
I don't know. A lot of mystery questions of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is there like a yardage where an onside kick is no longer an onside kick? If it goes over 30 yards, you can't get it? I don't understand. Anyway, totally irrelevant for the world of sports betting. Just something I never really could figure out. Dave Mason with us, everyone, from Bet Online. And I'm so thankful that you give us your time every week, Dave, especially on Thanksgiving weekend. Let's turn our attention to some NFL. We'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. Any suggestions on how to bet this game, and what are you seeing out there? We're clearly having money come in on KC. Right. There's 13.5 already up.
Yeah, I mean, we actually most of our money's on Vegas. Actually, what is it, like 55% of the bettors and 58% of cash? That being said, yeah, we're at 13.5 -105 right now. That being said, this is one of those games that people are teasing a money line parlaying down. I mean, let me click here. Money line parlays. Yeah, like holy hell, like 98% of money line parlay cash is on the Chiefs, and they're about 80% teasing down instead of teasing up. So those are going to be our big sweats on this game without a doubt.
So as for Sunday, I mean, obviously there's some games that are bigger than other games. I mean, Baltimore and Philadelphia will be a very highly watched game. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati will garner a lot of interest. San Fran and Buffalo, what could have been an outstanding Sunday night matchup. What are you seeing? Where's the money coming across the board, and any suggested bets you might have?
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. Sharp stuff. I'll go over that first. Commanders -5.5, Bengals -2.5, Patriots +3, Jets +1 or more, Saints +3, and Chiefs today -12.5. A little bit on that, not too much. As far as lopsided stuff, Chargers 73% bets on Chargers, 62% on the Colts, 62% on the Texans, 79% on the Seahawks. That's the biggest lopsided one. 67% on the Rams, 58% is on Philly. That's actually not getting a lot of early action. It's a head scratcher there. I mean, a ton's going to come on game day on that, but not a lot of early action on that. I think that's just such a sharp line. It's just with your classic 3-point spread, right? Great team versus great team. 67% is on the Bills -7. And 77% is on Denver. Again, a lot of these are going to be huge teaser and money line parlay. I mean, Bills -7. That's going to be a big teaser game. Yeah. So I mean, those are our biggest bet count.
Well,
go ahead.
Let me just go to this Jets game quickly because you mentioned it twice. So what I'm hearing from you is that a lot of smart money is on the Jets, but a lot of tickets are on Seattle. Is that correct?
Jets plus points. Got bet by sharps. So it's currently a pick 'em. The bettors, the public's on the Seahawks without a doubt. The sharps are on Jets and the points.
Dave Mason joining us. Dave, anything at all in hoops or NHL tonight, and then we'll let you go.
I haven't even paid attention to hoops. So I can click on it and see what's going on there.
Enough. Fair enough. Dave, what do you got to promote?
BetOnline.ag, man. Come on over. We have the earliest opening odds. We have all sorts of good promotions on our promotions page, contests, all sorts of contests this weekend. Get on over to BetOnline.ag.
Wonderful stuff. Dave Mason, everybody. Privileged to have you on. What a fun show. Andy Lang, Gianni the Greek, and Dave Mason. Shout out to all three for giving us their time. I know people are not working today. It is still sort of Thanksgiving, if you will. Guys, please make sure to bet my 5% play tonight. I also love my hockey play tonight. Just wanted to single that out. Absolutely love my NHL play as well. Take advantage of that promo, guys. $69, 7 days, all access. You can use it on everybody. Guys like Marco D'Angelo having one of the best seasons he's ever had in his life. He'd be a great starting point for that. And instead of buying my single 5% play, you can get my 7-day all access pass as well for $69. Real privilege doing this show. Thank you all for watching. Next week will be a great week. I'll be hosting alone, but it'll be fun. We'll see you then. Kick ass, everybody.